Struggling to work out which defenders to put in your FPL wildcard team? Stick with me, I've got you covered. Alright, first up, I've gone for two defenders with no words next to them, no stats to back them up, because I firmly believe that these are the two best defenders in FPL. I think if you go without either Cancelo or Trippier, you're going to miss out on some big points, really. Trippier is playing for the best defence in the league in Newcastle, got a really nice fixture run. What more to be said? I think he's returned in pretty much all of the Premier League games he's had this season, whether that be either a clean sheet or an attacking return. He just looks like such a good option, and I think you'd be a brave person to go without Trippier. Likewise with Cancelo, he's got a double game week coming up just after the fixture grid that you can see there, as well as one in 20. So two double game weeks for Man City. I'd say out of all the Man City defenders, Cancelo is probably the most nailed. He's also the most attacking. He gets forward a lot in pretty much every game he plays. So he's got potential of both clean sheets, playing for one of the best teams in the league, and best defences, as well as attacking returns, given the licence to go forward. And obviously, Man City are one of the best attacking teams in the league as well. So he's got that going for him too. So Cancelo and Trippier, I don't think need to be questioned too much. I think these two are the two best defenders in the game and should absolutely warrant a place in your fantasy team. All right, next up, we got Reece James. I think at 5.8 million, he remains one of the best value players in FPL, especially with that looming double game week in 19. Of course, there's a bit of a risk that he might not play both of those fixtures with the amount of rotation Potter likes to do. But I think he's definitely worth considering. Looking at that fixture run for the next sort of 6 or so game weeks, I think there's some great fixtures. And looking at his stats before his injury, he had a 0.33 expected returns per 90, which meant 1 out of every 3 games that he plays, he is expected to get a return in. So I think that sells him pretty well on its own. As well as that, he obviously plays for Chelsea, and looking at those fixtures, I could quite easily see at least at a minimum 3 or 4 clean sheets in that lot for the quality of players that Chelsea have got and the way that they are moulding under Potter. So yeah, I really like the look of Reece James. The one caveat is he's obviously not in the England squad because he picked up an injury before the World Cup. I think he will probably be fit enough to make the Bournemouth game. But it's one to be monitored. We're all on Twitter. We can all keep up on the news. If Reece James is deemed fit for game week 17, I think he's an absolute shoo-in into your FPL team. Okay, Ben White's up next. The reason I put him in this list is because he is the cheapest nailed to start Arsenal defender, in my opinion. Obviously, he's got Tomiyasu as competition in his position. Unfortunately, he's just have to withdraw from the England squad in Qatar without having to play any minutes. It looks like that's for personal reasons, so yeah, obviously hope he's okay. But it does look like he'll be fresh and fit to play game week 17. Obviously, Tomiyasu is on international duty with Japan as well. So I think Ben White being the cheapest starting Arsenal defender, and Arsenal being the joint best defence in the league along with Newcastle, I think that makes him a really good option for your fantasy team. Now, looking at those fixtures, they're not the easiest, but I would still class them as decent. And as I said, they're the joint best defence in the league along with Newcastle, and he's the cheapest starting Arsenal defender. One thing I would say with Ben White, although he's playing at full-back, he's not really going to get amongst the attacking returns. So you're really reliant on clean sheet points from him. But again, the point remains, he's the cheapest starting Arsenal defender, and I think that alone is reason enough to consider him for your FPL team. Now, along the same lines of Ben White, Newcastle being the other joint top team defensively for the most clean sheets, we've got Sven Botman. Again, similar to White, he is the cheapest starting defender for Newcastle, and they are the best defence in the league, joint with Arsenal. I think they've got a fantastic fixture run, as I mentioned with Trippier previously. I think one of the issues that we had towards the start of the season is that we didn't know the preferred centre-back partnership for Newcastle. Botman started the last 8 Premier League fixtures on the bounce. So for me, he's not gone to the World Cup. That suggests to me he's going to be nailed in that Newcastle team. And he's actually saving you quite a lot on Ben White as well. I think comparatively, it's a hard sell to buy Ben White over Botman, just looking at the stats we've seen there. They've got a similar defensive record, and I would actually say that the Newcastle fixtures are better for that run. So for that reason, I think he should be a reasonable consideration for your team. I think I'm going to go for him. I think 4.4 million is probably the pick of the 4.5 or slightly below defenders. And yeah, for that reason, I think he'll be in my fantasy team. One thing, and it's similar to Ben White really, although he's a big man, he doesn't appear to be that threatening in the box from corners and set pieces, so I don't really think he's going to get amongst the attacking returns this season. I could be wrong, but really you're looking for clean sheet points from Botman, and for 4.4 million, I think that's really all you can expect. So yeah, I think I'm definitely going to be considering him along with White for one of my defender spots in my FPL team. This one feels slightly more punty than the rest of the guys that I've gone for, and it's Kyle Walker from Man City. Similar concept to White and Botman. He is the cheapest. I wouldn't say any Man City defender apart from Cancelo is nailed, but I would say he's a pretty sure starter for Man City, and he's the cheapest Man City defender of the lot that I expect to play. Before he got injured, he started 7 of 8 Premier League fixtures, which I think is a pretty good record. And as I said, I think 4.8 million, not only great value in the game, but he's also the cheapest likely to start Man City defender. They've also got a double game week in 20, so there's 2 fixtures in 1 week. I wouldn't say that fixture run for City is the best, but Man City, on paper at least, in my opinion, is still the best defence in the league. They've got the best quality players in the league anyway in those positions. I think I can easily see 3 or 4 clean sheets out of that lot. It's a similar caveat though with Walker to White and Botman. Whilst he does play at fullback, he doesn't really get amongst the attacking returns. Cancelo is the one that bombs forward and gets amongst the goals and the assists, whereas Walker, he's happy to sit back, cover with a bit of pace on the defence, and yeah, knock some passes around with the likes of Diaz and Laporte. He's not going to get amongst the attacking returns. But yeah, I still think 4.8 million for clean sheets alone, he's great value, and I'm certainly considering him as a bit of a differential in my FPL team. And continuing on with the good value player sort of trend that I'm talking about in this video, we've got Nathan Patterson. Now, in my opinion, the best FPL squad structure involves picking a £4 million defender, purely because they're the cheapest players in the game, and there are 2 of them that will start for you. So Nico Williams from Nottingham Forest, whilst he is occasionally benched, you can pretty much suggest that he's going to play some minutes for Forest, and similar with Nathan Patterson for Everton. He certainly looks to be first choice right back ahead of Seamus Coleman when he's actually fit. Obviously, pre-World Cup he was injured, but it looks as though he's now returned from his injury and is expected to be fit for game week 17. In fact, I think he actually played before the international break. A comment comparing the 2, Williams and Patterson. Everton across the season have conceded half of the goals that Nottingham Forest has. And for me, that's all I need to see to convince me that he's probably a better pick than Nico Williams. And overall, I think Everton are probably a better quality team than Forest as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him finish on more attacking returns at the end of the season as well. So as it says there, yeah, Nathan Patterson is my best pick for the £4 million defenders. And as I said, I think the best squad structure involves having at least one of the 4.0 million defenders. Nathan Patterson is the best of the lot. So I think for me, he's 100% going to be in my FPL team the other side of the World Cup. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope that helped you with some of the tricky decisions on who do you pick in your defence for your FPL team. As I said, those are some of the players that I'm eyeing up. There are definitely others that haven't quite made this short list. I might make another video to compile them all together. But in my opinion, looking through the list, these are the players that stood out for me. And hopefully I've justified them effectively with some of the reasons I gave there. If you really like this video, give us a like on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because as I said for the previous video, there'll be one video out for each position on players that I'm considering. So we've covered goalkeepers, if you want to watch that back, we've covered defenders now, and we'll cover midfielders and strikers in the future. So it's been a pleasure, and I'll see you in the next video.